All right. Welcome, everybody. Here we are. I don't know where you are or what time it is for you, but it's Friday afternoon and it's almost 3 o'clock. So we are here today to talk with yet another one of these wonderful women who has agreed to tell you her story and sort of the process of what she's been through. And I really, again, have this ultimate passion about educating women and helping them to realize that they're not alone and there's hope out there. And the more journeys that you listen to and the more women's experiences that you listen to, I think the more empowered you're going to be to take action and make sure that you're doing it in a way that's going to be safe for you and hopefully not temporary band-aid solutions, which is what we're trying to avoid. So anyway, welcome, Miss Vicki. Hottie girl, look at you. Woo-hoo. So anyway, I am basically going to sort of do what I've done with some of the other people that have been kind enough to do interviews with me. We've decided to dub all of them Edwards Angels, which is really, I think I love it. So anyway, but what I'd like to do, Vicki, if you want to just introduce yourself, you sort of tell us a little bit about you as a person. Start with that.
Well, my name is Vicki Highsmith, and I am a mother of two wonderful teenagers. Well, one is an actual young adult. Been married for 20 years to my wonderful husband who is in the military, and we've traveled all over the world together. And I work for the government, been doing that for like 15 years, and I also am an independent beauty consultant with Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Wow. And in between all of that, she has time to eat, sleep, and exercise. See? Amazing. It happens. It can happen. So, well, all right. So thank you for sharing that. And so I guess why don't we start with, and you've been on the other side of the camera, so to speak. So obviously, you know what other women want to hear about your experiences. So why don't we start by sort of giving them a brief overview of what was life like 3 months ago for you and before that?
Well, I felt kind of defeated. Like there was no place for me to win. I felt like I was alone and by myself because the doctors would basically say to me, "There's nothing wrong with you." But in my mind, in my body, I felt otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And I had symptoms of just being tired and fatigue and pain and just all of the things. And they just kept saying that there's nothing wrong with you. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started to lose hope. But, after doing a little bit of research, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a try because I'm worth it. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very grateful and thankful that I did.
Well, so before we get into the sort of where you are now, I don't want to necessarily disclose what your specific health problems were, but what was your typical experience when you would go to your physicians and you would explain to them, I'm having certain symptoms. I mean, give us a little bit of an idea of what kind of experiences you had in that conventional medical world.
Well, I have to say that I understand with the way the medicine is now, from the way it is now, is that they basically listen to you and gather your symptoms and then medicate and not necessarily understand why.
Mm-hmm.
So typically what would happen is I would go in and I would explain to them the symptoms I was having, and they would just continuously give me more pills.
Mm-hmm.
And then even in addition to that, they would say, well, I would come back and have another ailment, and then they'll say, well, that's because of the pill I gave you last time. And it just continued to build over the years. And
Mm-hmm.
after a while, I ended up having a whole pill pack, both AM and PM. And when I started, I didn't have anything. And I went in there thinking, man, I don't want to take any medication, but yet it just continued to add over and over and over again.
So how many medicines were you taking by the time you and I met each other? I
I
think
was
it's like 5 or 6, I think, right?
easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I added some supplements because I was trying to self-medicate because
Mm-hmm.
I figured, well, if they weren't going to help me, I was going to, fix it myself.
Try to do it yourself, absolutely.
So
Do you care? Do you care if we tell people how old you are, how young you are actually?
I don't mind.
So how old are you?
I'm 42 years old.
42. So this poor 42-year-old gorgeous girl was already on 6 prescription drugs and was feeling awful and trying to self-medicate. And so I can understand why you didn't feel like you had any hope.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit, if you can, about what was going on with the hormone piece of this.
Oh my goodness. I probably was driving my family crazy because my mood was up and down. You know, I was happy one day, sad the next, but then I would have hot flashes and night sweats. And I mean, I just felt, oh, like, you know, I'm thinking, goodness gracious, I'm only 42. Why is this happening to me now? And if it's happening to me now and I don't do anything about it, what am I going to look like when I'm like 70 and 80 years old?
Mm-hmm.
So it just, you know, it was just horrible. It was a horrible, I felt
Mm-hmm.
trapped in my own
Right.
body, you know, like a
Well, and
prison.
so you had, I'm sorry, I get so excited, I can't make myself stop. Okay, so you were having some hormonal issues, and then, you had to have, I guess, surgery done. You still have your ovaries.
I do. I do.
Okay, so but then after that, you went to the doctor, and that was when you started having the hot flashes and the night sweats, was after that surgery?
Well, not immediately after the surgery. It was actually some years
Okay.
after it started to happen. But, you know, I had night sweats, but it seemed like it was increasing to a point where it was waking me up. And
Mm-hmm.
like my pillow was just drenched. And then the biggest thing is the hot flashes. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would be at the grocery store thinking I got to get to the freezer section. You know, it was just so uncomfortable in the mood swings. So that started happening more frequently. I would say probably within the last 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And so how did they handle that when you were discussing that with your doctor?
I went in and he did listen to my symptoms, and then he gave me a test. I actually did some lab work, and it came back that my estrogen was low, so he gave me estrogen, and
Estrogen.
that's it,
Mm-hmm.
estradiol to be exact.
Yeah.
And that was it. But I was still having the same symptoms and the same problems. But then he informed me that I probably should go, because he's a primary care doctor. So he informed me that I should probably go see a gynecologist. And once I seen the gynecologist, he didn't do any lab results. He just said, "Well, here, just take this progesterone." And
Mm-hmm.
I trusted him because I figured, well, he's been doing this for 20 years, and everybody,
Right.
excuse me, correction, he's like the known doctor in this area, so probably 30 plus years. And I said, well, he got great reviews, so I'm gonna trust him, and I'm
Huh.
gonna, not thinking that he never even tested to see if I was low
Uh-huh.
in that area, that it was gonna give me a balance.
Right.
And I felt worse afterwards.
That was going to be my next question. So because you were taking oral estrogen and then they put you on oral, they actually did put you on bioidentical progesterone. So I mean, that was, at least he did the right thing there. But as far as what he was using, but so how did you feel after they did those things with you?
I felt horrible. I mean, I just, you know, the night sweats and the hot, it just kept coming. But then I started feeling like more aching, more fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
just the loss of just concentration, my mood, everything was just like, I felt worse.
Mm-hmm.
But my doctor, he went back and he looked at the lab results and he said, well, you're fine. You know,
Mm-hmm.
your lab results say that you're within normal range. But
I love
I still feel like crap.
that. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah, that was really a nice thing to be able to put on the lab, sort of requisition. I know I'm normal, but I feel like crap. So somewhere on there should be, here's the reference range, and then somewhere in there should be crap, and you should be able to put your own little, bullet there. So now I wanted to also mention, because there's so many women that have issues with this, and they get put on the same type of medications that you were on
right.
for focus and attention. So tell me sort of tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I started noticing that I was having problems with remembering things. I was very forgetful. My concentration, my focus was just horrible. And, you know, I went to the doctor, and again, yet he said, well, I think that you may have ADD.
Mm-hmm.
So I did take some tests, and it was like a 3 hour long test. And the neuropsychologist said that it's undefinitized. I can't really say that you do, but I can't say that you don't. So
Mm-hmm.
just take this medication and let's see. And so I listened to them and I took it. And that was probably the worst decision that I could have ever made, because it really caused me to like feel like it's like basically, if I can describe it, it was like someone like turned on the lights, and then when the medication went away, they turned the light off, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like it was no warning. at all. And I did not like feeling like that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I did not feel like it felt like it was like I drank like 5 cups of coffee. But
Mm-hmm.
I was still having, problems with the forgetfulness and the concentration. Those things didn't go away.
Didn't get better. And then I know then shortly after we started working together, there was obviously quite a few things that we needed to undo. But during the course of us working together, they even switched medications,
Yes.
right? Okay. And so what happened then, then as things were getting better, then you started having some other issues, which we found out were, go ahead and explain those, the other things that were going on.
Okay, so are you referring to like the
When you're having the salt cravings and the dry mouth and all the other stuff that started on the new medicine they gave you?
So they gave me another medicine because what I thought, again, like I said, I trust them in the fact that they were professionals. And so I said, well, I'm going to give them a couple months just to kind of see. So they changed the medication. So then I started having dry mouth, dizziness. I mean, to the point where I was starting to kind of feeling faint.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was always hungry all the time. And I was doing so great. And Dr. Lena, and I called her and she's like, well, it's that medicine that you're taking. And I'm like, okay, all right. So finally I went in there and I said, listen, I understand that, we need to go through the process, but I think I'm done. And I was able, because I was taking such a low dose, I was able to stop pretty quickly. And instantly, it went away.
And so you're not on anything prescription drug wise for your attention and focus. And how is that now?
Well, what I did is through the coaching, which I absolutely love my coach, we found tools to help me with the behavior. Because a lot of times, there may be some things, maybe because I was tired and exhausted from
and a hormonal mess.
and all that. But once you got those things straight, now we just find tools to help with the behavior. And now I'm able to function and understand that it is a process. It takes time. I mean, I'm 42 years old. I've been doing this for a while. So
Right. How successful do you think that the whole mindset, obviously you have to have a certain mindset to be in that situation so that you're receptive to it and then you're able to implement what you're doing. So how do you feel like even just being directed with coaching would have helped you 3 months ago as opposed to now?
Even just having the coaching piece, well, I think that would have been great. But I also think that with you kind of fixing the parts that gave me energy and fuel, like what I needed to eat, the sleep, those type of things, the medication and supplements, those things to me needed to be fixed first before we can even tackle any of the behavior.
Oh, absolutely.
I think if I had done the coaching without the health part, I don't think it would have been as successful.
Yeah. It's sort of hard to focus and implement healthy changes and have a positive mindset. And I know we've heard this from several other people, when your body and your brain aren't cooperating with you. That makes it really difficult. So again, not to get into too much detail, because everybody's journey is a little bit different. In a 3-month time frame, so tell everybody how many prescription drugs you take now. I mean, not the temporary ones, but the ones that you.
I don't take now. We have the temporary, but we're gonna work on those.
Yeah.
1 or 2, but 0.
Yeah, 0. Woohoo! Look, Ma, no drugs. Woohoo! Yeah, in fact, you didn't even need hormones right now.
Right. Exactly.
So I think that one of the things I wanted to point out with you in particular is that people need to be testing, and they need to be checking things. They need to be asking questions. You need to be being evaluated at regular intervals, because especially if you still have your ovaries, and obviously if you don't have a uterus, you're not bleeding, so it's really hard to know if you're still cycling or not cycling. So when someone just assumes based on your symptoms that you're in menopause, and then they give you these hormones, and then that's it forever, nobody reassesses, that can create some major issues. And so it's not that you won't ever need the hormones, but right now, obviously, you don't, and you didn't. And the way that they were being given to you also, I think, was definitely having an impact on how you felt and your weight gain. You've lost, what, 11 pounds?
11
Yeah.
And
And inches, how many inches? You're like down a whole clothing size, you said, right?
I'm down one dress size, but like the other day, and I think I had posted this. I was walking past like a mirror when I was going to this place where I was getting some stuff, and you know how they have the mirror and everything, and I looked at myself and I had to take a second look. I was like, oh my gosh, I am hot. I mean, you can see like the definition, and whereas before I felt kind of like pudgy and bloated and everything, and so yeah, I mean, it gives you confidence. I mean,
Yeah.
you feel like yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
And
excited. I'm
so tell me how has your business done? How have your family members been with you now that the real Vicky's back?
Well, everything seems to be just really flowing and very consistent because I'm different. And
Right.
so if anything, I can see the relationship that I have with myself. I said to someone, I said, you know, I have developed an intimate relationship with me. I know what's going to be best for me, whether it be what I put in my mouth when I need to go to sleep, when I need to meditate, you know, when I need to talk things out. I know what's going to work best for me. And I think that by doing that, I can reflect that with everyone I meet and everyone I encounter.
That was so beautifully said. I am so glad that this is recorded. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And you know, one of the things that struck me, I think when we first met, and I was looking at your Facebook page, your favorite quote.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it is? What you put there?
I have so many. Which one? I don't remember which one it
You
was.
said there's always a way. For those that are committed, there's always a way. And for those that aren't committed, there's always an excuse. It was something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. I mean, you know, commitment is something that is a decision, and it does require. I think to me, what I had to remember what's valuable to you, and I think sometimes people don't think about that. Like, what is valuable to you? Most people say, my kids, my husband. I mean,
Right.
those are great, but you should be valuable. And so when you know that you're valuable, then you'll be committed to the process of getting you the best results. And there's
Absolutely.
no excuse, none whatsoever, you know, in getting you to be the best version of yourself.
Hmm. So my last question to you is going to be, what piece of advice would you be giving to women if you were to give them one piece of advice? You just gave a really great one, but you might have another one too, but you know.
The biggest thing is that, you know, I think oftentimes we take time for everybody else and we forget about ourselves. And believe it or not, you are the sole responsibility of your own health. And even though when I went into the doctor, I put that power into his hands, he was able to do what he wanted to do with it. But now, because I have the tools to be able to go and communicate, we can partner together. And I can be conscious and aware of how I want my health to be.
Hmm.
And I know that now, and I feel confident because I have the tools to be able to do so. And then also, it's kind of like, you know, I was just talking to a friend. Basically, you've given me the tools to be able to, you know, do whatever I need to do. I can do it independently. But I don't think that I would have been able to do that prior to having the coaching and the health benefits that you've given me. So I can do this now, knowing that I have the tools necessary to do it. I feel really confident in doing it. And then the fact that it's been over for 3 months, I've been able to practice and I've made some mistakes. I'm not perfect, but you've been able to help me to feel like, okay, you know what? That's just kick that up under the rug and keep going.
That's right.
I
That's
mean,
right.
you know, I just really enjoy the program and I just enjoy what the woman that I'm becoming and the journey that I'm on.
Right. That's wonderful. I mean, and it's so gratifying for me to know that I'm able to help you and other people in the process, because really, I truly believe that your healthcare providers really need to work with you as partners. You know, you're not the child, they're not the parent. You know, you really need to be in a partnership with them so that you're included in the decision-making process. Even if you're not a medical person, it's your body, and nobody knows your body as well as you do. You might not be able to put a finger on what's causing your problem, but you know when there's a problem. You
Right.
know, and so I think that's why for me the education piece of it is so important, because it gives you the right tools to speak the language and understand it much better than if you don't have those tools. And so that's, you know, you're going to drive doctors crazy, which I love, you know, but at least you're getting your information from somewhere other than Dr. Google, right? And we know that Dr. Google really, I don't think he or she went to medical school. So, you know, there's all kinds of experts out there that are giving Dr. Google advice, and then that's what everybody's looking at. So doctors love that when you walk in and you have all this big stack of stuff. They're like, oh my God, no way. It freaks them out. And if that's the kind of reaction you get, you need another doctor. So, you know, doctors that are really progressive are excited to see that. They're like, great, I don't know everything there is to know. Teach me. I want to see what you got, you know. So, you know, but that takes time, and it takes a commitment on the behalf of the provider. So, anyway.
It takes time, but it's invaluable.
It is.
You only get one body, you know, and that's kind of how I think about that. Like, I only get one chance, and it's my responsibility to take care of me. So although the doctors are there to assist, but at the end of the day, it is my responsibility to take care of me. So I'm going to do it.
I don't know. I'm looking at you thinking you're a little hotter than Tina Turner right now. Look at you.
I love Tina Turner.
I do too. Oh, well, Vicki, thank you so much. You brought tears to my eyes. I'm so thrilled that you're doing so well. And so really, I'm so grateful to you for doing this. I know all of the women that watch this will be grateful and inspired and empowered. And that's really the goal of everything that what I'm trying to do. And I'm so grateful to you as an Edwards angel and helping me to accomplish my goal. So that's very sweet of you. Thank you again. And I guess we're over and out then.
All right, sounds good.